With over 400 celebrity interviews and tons of pop culture nerdiness, Too Opinionated is a safe haven for your inner geek. Find us at meistercon.com or on YouTube under MeisterCon Pod. And please subscribe. It would really help us out. Thanks, everybody. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. Super excited today. I've got actor, producer Mike Manning with me. So welcome, Mike.
Thank you, Michael. Good name.
Just a couple of mics hanging out.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there was, at least when I was born, there was not a lot of, kind of inventiveness with names. So a lot of Michaels, a lot of Davids, just your basic standard name.
Well, and my father's name is Michael, so my parents had even less than no creativity. They were just like, name him after you.
That's it.
So, but
mine was a David.
Oh, yours was a David. Okay, so another generic white guy name. Yeah, yeah. Well, my dad's a good guy, so it could be worse. We have a good relationship.
That's right.
I feel like it would have made it worse if we didn't have a good relationship, but.
Are you a junior or do you have a different middle name?
I have a different middle name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and there was a hot second where when I moved to California, my middle name is Christopher. So there was right when I moved here, I was like, my dad is Mike Manning. I want to get away from that. So I went by Michael Christopher for about 6 months. And every time I felt like I would go to acting class, I would meet somebody else with two first names, particularly guys. And it was like, I remember sitting in a room one time and I'm looking around the room and everybody, it was like Christopher David, Kyle Scott, this. And I was like, oh no, I'm like another guy just with two first names. Yeah. So I went back to Mike Manning.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good choice. It's a good solid name.
I think so. I am a fan of the alliteration. So I did. Yeah. It could be worse, I think.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we have to talk about The Way Out, which is the upcoming film that you're in. Are you also producing on this film?
Correct. Yeah, I'm an executive producer on the film.
That's what I thought. Yeah. But before we do that, tell me a little bit about what got you into the entertainment business. Why did you want to become an actor?
I've always had movies. I've always connected with movies ever since I was little. Movies were always a source of escapism for me. Yeah. And I think a lot of young kids, they have really active imaginations and they'll watch movies and I remember I would be with my brother, my sister, all the neighborhood kids, and we would watch Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast or, whatever kid movie. And we would grab a carpet and go on a magic carpet ride, or we would be Peter Pan jumping from the couches and everything. And I think I've always sort of had that imagination, and I just never grew out of it. I even in high school, I was doing theater, and back then I grew up in Colorado. I was born in Florida, grew up in Colorado, and I didn't know any professional actors. I just didn't have any in my orbit, so I didn't even know it was a possibility. It never even crossed my mind that I could make a living being an actor. I just knew I loved movies, I loved TV, and I loved theater. And then it wasn't until college that I followed a friend to an audition, got on a show, and then I had a manager reach out to me in Los Angeles via Facebook. And he said, "Hey kid, you have a great look. Move out to LA, give it 6 months and I'll make you a star." And my naive brain was like, "Oh yeah, sure. I'll be doing big studio movies in 6 months." And that was over a decade ago. So
yeah. Well, he was right. It just may have taken a little bit longer.
Yeah, just a little bit longer than 6 months.
So how did you transition from the acting side into the production side, which I think is really interesting because a lot of actors will get into that, but it's usually down the road a little bit, but you kind of jumped in early.
Honestly, producing found me. So I had just shot a Disney movie called Cloud 9. Yeah. This had to be 8 years ago, maybe.
It was a snowboarding movie, right?
A snowboarding movie called Cloud 9. And up until that point, I think I had done like a guest star on Hawaii Five-O and maybe a guest star on another Disney show called Crash and Bernstein. So at the time, this Cloud9 was one of the biggest things I had ever done. And I felt like I was finally making it in the industry. I had my own apartment. I was, paying my bills just as an actor, which,
Yeah, nice. That's not easy.
it's not easy. Absolutely, it's not. And before that, I was doing odds and ends jobs. I was working at a catering company. I would fill out surveys and get paid. It was just whatever I could do to sort of just keep my, like keep my focus on acting. And so I did Cloud9 and was paying my bills. And I had a friend reach out to me from school in Colorado, and he said, "Hey, Mike, I'm coming into LA to do an interview for this documentary film. Can I stay with you?" And I didn't really think anything of it. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, come on over." And he stays with me. This is a week or two later, and we had a couple shots of tequila. And he opens up to me about this film that this documentary filmmaker is making, and it was about child abuse. And he was the subject of this film, and he was one of the kids that was abused in this movie. And my heart just broke for him. And I said, I need to meet this filmmaker. And I met this woman, and this was her first film. And I went into the meeting thinking, oh, I'm just gonna make a connection with another director,
Yeah.
producer, and as an actor, like I need to be networking and making connections. And I met her for coffee, and she basically was like, "Look, I have all this footage, and I don't know what to do with it." And I said, "Well, I don't know how to produce. I think I have a pretty good head on my shoulders. I'm, I when I put my mind to something, I usually can figure it out. So let me do this. Let me produce this film." And it started out as this little film, and then I called some friends of mine, and at that point, I was lucky enough to have met Tom DeSanto, who produces X-Men and
Yeah.
Transformers, and he's grossed billions at the box office. And it just so happened that he knew somebody that was affected by the situations that were in this documentary. So he goes, "Mike, I'll produce this with you." And I'm like, "Wait a second, my first film I'm producing is with Tom DeSanto." And then I called Lance Bass, who I knew through some other things, and he connected to the subject matter, and he was like, I'll produce this with you." So it started out as this little thing that I was almost doing a favor for, and then it grew and it grew and it grew, and then it sold to Showtime, and it premiered on Showtime around the same time that my Disney movie premiered. And so I had all this press come out as Disney actor, is documentary producer, social cause, trying to do the right
Yeah.
thing. And overnight, people just started reaching out to me to produce their movies, and I just started saying yes.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really neat. And I love the fact that it seems like you're drawn toward, projects that have a purpose. They're trying to improve a situation or bring some positivity to the world. And I think that's really commendable.
Thank you. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think that film and television, and I mean, look at your background. You're clearly passionate about movies, and I think that film and television have the capacity to really open up people to new ways of thinking and being. And I don't want to beat with every project I do. I don't want to beat people over the head with a social cause or whatever. A lot of the reason that we go to movies is for that escapism and for that entertainment. But if I can do both, then why not? For example, this movie Slapface, that's the poster's right behind me. That's a
Yes.
film that I produced, and that was one where I found the script, I developed the script with the writer director, we shot it, and in that film, we have a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. People really connect with the
Nice.
film as a thriller, but at the same time, the film has a very strong anti-bullying message, which is important to me.
Yes.
So it's just little things here and there. I try to gravitate towards projects that I think will entertain people and give them an escapism, but also, you know, if they can leave the theater or turn off the television and think, "Huh, it's that's staying with me, that emotion's staying with me, or that plot, or that character, or the whatever. It's making me think about something in a way that I haven't necessarily thought about it before." I think to me that's a win.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the new project is The Way Out.
Hmm.
It's really good. So
Thank
so
you.
we were lucky enough to screen it over the weekend, and we did that here at the studio. And yeah, we had a group of about 10 of us watching. And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, we loved the movie and loved you in it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It was a scary movie to say yes to be honest, because you know this. It's a movie about abuse and then revenge,
Yes.
and not just mild revenge. It's very violent revenge. It's very extreme revenge, and it was a character that I hadn't really played before in that way, and so I was a little nervous when I said yes to it, but I made a promise to myself. I said, "Look, Mike, if you're going to say yes to this, then you need to buckle in and take it to the level that it needs to go to be effective." And I think that's what I did. I trained for 3 months. I took boxing several times a week, boxing classes, and I had been boxing when I was younger, so I wasn't starting from
You knew a
scratch, but
little bit. Yeah.
I knew a little bit, but not as much as I use in the film. And there's even a lot in the film that we didn't use of boxing sequences and everything that I did train for. But it's if it doesn't make the movie, it doesn't make the movie. So I boxed. I gained 13 pounds of
Nice.
muscle for the role because I felt like that physical appearance was really important to the character, and the believability of sort of him using brute force to get through life and to take revenge on people. And then I also wanted to do it justice because it's loosely based on Barry, the writer director. It's loosely
Yeah.
based on some of his own experiences, and I really wanted to be cognizant of that and treat it in a way that was true to what he experienced, but also not too much to where it felt embellished or
Right.
that we were faking it at all, because it is based on somebody's real life.
Yeah. Yeah. It was such an intense movie. Did you have difficulty after the filming was done? Did you have trouble kind of putting that behind you? Because it seems like that was to play that role, you'd have to get in that mindset, and that would be difficult.
Yeah, there were some scenes that we shot that made me feel kind of gross and made me lose made me lose sleep at night and all those
Yes.
things. But I think that's the fun of it. I think that's why we do what we do. I think what the same role every single time, and a lot of in the beginning when I moved to Los Angeles, a lot of the beginning of your career is saying yes to everything and just trying to build your
Right.
resume and get experience and meet people and everything else. And now I'm to the point where I really do want to choose projects that are going to scare me like that and are going to challenge me, and I am allowed to transform myself as much as I can in any given time. So yeah, it was scary, and some of those nights I didn't get much sleep. There's one scene in the movie where it's a fight scene, and we ended up cutting some of it just because. And I get the shit beat out of me, and I have a prosthetic over my face. I see by some of the movies you're that are behind you, you like practical effects. I
Oh yeah,
had
of course.
a prosthetic on my face that I could barely see out of, and it was my nose, it was my eye, it was blood, it was this side of my face,
Oh,
and
jeez.
that was one where I was terrified that I was going to get punched in the face because the other actor Johnny is holding me, and his hand is coming this close to get the angle and everything, and I was like, wow, one punch that goes too far, and he's going to break my nose. And we weren't finished filming, so I would have had a broken nose for the rest of filming. So just little things like that
Yeah,
that made me
yeah.
nervous.
I'd be nervous about that. I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
I think it'd be weird seeing yourself beat up too, even though you know it's fake. It's just a prosthetic, but it would still like for me, I'd probably have nightmares.
Well, yeah, and I'm a really physical actor. I love getting out of my head and into my body. So if there's a fight scene or if there's a scene that just involves physicality and I can use that physicality to sort of be present and stop overthinking things, that really works for me and that helps me. So I love physical roles. Um, Specifically fight scenes like that. Only when they're safe though, because the worst thing is when you don't feel safe on set and you're
Right.
you're more focused on that than you are about being present. Our stunt coordinator was Mac Kerr, who was Keanu Reeves' stunt double
Very
in
nice.
the John Wick movies, and
Nice.
it's crazy. He looks like him and he sounds like him. It's kind of bizarre, but he was great at sort of setting up the scene and making everybody feel safe and having fight choreography that looked and felt real, and that made the acting easier because then you're feeling that rage, you're feeling that fear, you're feeling that aggression.
Yeah, the action sequences are really good. The fighting is really good. I was always a boxing fan, especially growing up and stuff. So, if you see a movie and the boxing doesn't look real, it kind of takes you out of it. But I didn't feel that here.
Absolutely.
I thought you did a really good job with fight
Thank you.
scenes.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, it's really good. Is it difficult to produce and to act in the same movie?
So sometimes it is. For instance, with Slapface, I was the lead producer, and everything that went wrong during filming was my
Right.
responsibility. Plus, I tried to act. With this movie, the team was really, really good, and I was really deliberate. I said, "Look, guys, I will help in the beginning stages. I will help package and make phone calls and suggest cast and crew and set up the film for success." And then when we make the film, I will do my best to help market and find a distributor and with delivery and everything else once we're wrapped. But while we are wrapped, I am only an actor. I am only this character. I am not taking on these other responsibilities because I didn't want the movie to suffer. I didn't want me to step out of that because it was such an intense role. I didn't want to step out of that character and have the movie suffer just so that I could do something as a producer. So that's why on Slapface I was a producer and did everything from start to finish. With this film, I was just an executive producer and I just basically did stuff before filming and after filming.
Yeah, that seems smart because that way you're not distracting yourself when you're trying to act in the film. I think
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me. That makes sense to
Yeah.
me. So the movie's The Way Out. It's out February the 10th, I believe.
Correct. Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
is it digital or is it available everywhere?
It's digital. I know that it's on the platform Deco. I believe it's going to be the Amazon, iTunes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Barry will know more about it. I know you're talking to
Yeah,
Barry
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
We're talking to Barry next.
Yeah.
Did you get to do like a theater screening for it?
So we actually premiered the film at the Burbank International Film Festival, and
Yeah.
that was nice because we had most of the cast there. We had most of the crew there, and so we were able to celebrate together. And it takes a village to make a movie. So when you can celebrate like that together, it's fantastic. And then we ended up winning the audience award, and we won Best LGBT Feature Film. So taking home two big awards in one night with everybody there was kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, if I was on a project, I would look forward to that. Once you're done, you want to have a little moment to celebrate with the people that you work with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the trouble about movies is at least the movies that I've been a part of, I'll show up on set for 2 weeks or a month or 3 months. And that's basically it. I'm not doing these giant Marvel movies that take a year to film. And
Right.
so I sort of get to know everybody, and because of the nature of our work, I get to know everybody and we become really good friends for a month or 2 months or 3 months, and then you have to say goodbye to everybody. And then sometimes that's it. And then the film just sort of is released and you never see
Right.
these people again or whatever. And so to come together and to celebrate and to sort of see everybody, it's almost like a little reunion. That was really nice.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. So I know we got to wrap up, but my mother asked me. She said, make sure she's a big soap opera fan, so she
Oh
enjoys
yeah.
you on enjoyed you on Days of Our Lives. So she said to make sure to bring it because she knows. I always play that game with her and the kids. What have you seen this person on? She knew right away.
Yeah.
She knew
What's your mother's name?
Martha.
Well, thank you, Martha. Martha. Every time I hear Martha, I think I'm a huge Superman fan, so I think
Yeah,
Martha Kent
same.
every time.
Same. But yeah,
Thank
she
you,
said make
Martha.
sure you let him know he was very good. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
So there
that was
I
fun.
pass that on. And of course, my daughter, This Is Us. That's the one she knew. She's like, he's the Manny.
I was, yeah, I was a Manny. This Is Us was a lot of fun to shoot. I was bummed that it was the last season, because working with Justin Hartley and everybody was fantastic. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
yeah,
show
it was
was
great.
that's a show that you can only watch one episode a day because it's so emotional. I mean,
Mm,
it just wears you out the entire time.
yeah,
It's so good. But
yeah,
then
yeah.
you gotta give it a day. There's no binge watching This Is Us.
Well, my parents have, I mean, they've been supportive of me throughout the years. And they watched Days of Our Lives. They watched Cloud Nine. They watched some of our movies. But it wasn't until This Is Us that they were both on the phone, like, Mike, oh my God, like it's their show. If my dad goes out of town for work or whatever, and my mom watches it without him, they will fight. It is the show. It is their show. They love it. It's and so when they found out that I was going to be the Manny in the final season, they loved it so much. But they said the same thing. They said, Mike, it's so emotional that we can only watch, we can only handle so much. We cry every episode.
That me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I wanted to just real quick, wanted to ask you about, I know you've done a lot of voice work for Netflix. And I wanted to ask you about that. What does that entail? Are you putting some of the foreign language films into English? Is that the voice work?
It's mostly foreign series, and I'm doing the English voices for the foreign series. So like the show Money Heist, and it's out of Spain. It's Casa de Papel in Spain, but I was the English voice of Denver, one of the lead characters in that one. And then
Money Heist is a really good show. Very popular.
Yeah, that was the show that was the first English dubbing job that I did. And then after that, Netflix loved what I did with Denver, so they keep calling me. So now I think I've done like 10 foreign language shows.
I mean, that's not a bad like side gig in addition.
No, it's absolutely not.
Producing.
I feel like I'm getting paid to go to actor gym because I show up in my sweatpants. I have there's a director there, and we'll watch a piece of the episode. We'll watch a scene or whatever, and then the director will sort of be like, "Okay, now try it this way. Try it this way. Now a little bit more angry. Now matches this, matches this." It's more than just matching how they're talking. It's trying to match their emotion. And so I feel like, I'll have a 4-hour session, and I'll be driving home, and I'm like, I'm exhausted. I'm like, wow, I was just crying, and then I was laughing, and then I was, emotional, and then I was attracted to somebody, and I had all these emotions in 4 hours. And then, it ends up being 2 or 3 episodes, and then I'll go in the next day and finish the other couple episodes and whatever else. But it's a really fun side gig that I have. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for taking a little bit of time with us. You have to come back so we can have a longer conversation. This has been really nice.
Michael, I would love to, because I clearly, you love movies. I love movies.
Of course.
So I would love to dive into a few more with you.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple of quick things, but before we go, outside of The Way Out, which is out February 10th, anything else you're working on that we can keep an eye out?
Oh yeah. So I have a film. My friend Leah directed a film that's going to be premiering at South by Southwest called Scrambled, and she put me in that. So that's that is hopefully going to do well and have a wide release. Lionsgate's releasing that, so I know it will. And that's this year. There's another Lionsgate movie I just finished that I co-wrote called Powder Pup. It's a snowboarding dog movie. So stick with what you know, right? So I co-wrote it, and I acted in that one and produced that one as well. And then there's another film called there's a handful. There's one called the Nana Project that I did in San Francisco, and that's going to come out this year. If people just go on my website, it's mikemanning.info. I'm forgetting which projects are coming out this year versus next year, but
I saw you had a bunch of stuff in the hopper.
Yeah. Well, and there's I think there's like 10 movies that I am a part of coming out this year. So I'm really blessed. I think we all COVID affected us all different ways. I came out of COVID when the industry started up again, and I was like, I need to make up for lost time. So last year was a really busy year, and now hopefully all those movies are gonna be released and be successful, and we'll see what's next.
I have no doubt. Big fan of your acting. I love the fact that when I watch you act, it always seems very believable and possible. Which isn't always the case when you watch act. Sometimes you watch and you're like, it seems like they're acting. I don't get that with you. I feel, you get me right into the movie or the show, whatever it is. Loved you on the Bay. Just think you're a really good actor. So yeah, you have to come back at some point. We'll talk some more.
Thank you, Michael. I would love that.
Yeah. So you gave us the website. Are you on any other social media?
Yeah, just Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. It's just type in my name, Mike Manning. And I think there might be an underscore or something, but it's just the one with the check mark. So just find me there.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Appreciated this. This has been terrific. Can't wait for The Way Out to come out so everybody will start talking about it, because now I'm a little bit ahead of the game. I've seen it.
You are.
I've been telling some people about it, but they're like, "Where can we watch it?" I was like, "Well, you got to wait a little while."
Yeah. Well, thank you, Michael.
Out.
And next time you talk to Martha, tell her that I said hello.
Oh, I will. I'll be calling her right after this for sure. Thank you so much. Cool. Good to meet you, Mike.
You too.
Right. Bye-bye. That was a lot of fun for me. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Actor, producer Mike Manning, such a fan of his. I think he does such a terrific job. So if you haven't checked him out, I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've seen him on This Is Us. You probably watched The Bay. Teen Wolf, we didn't even talk about. He was terrific as a deputy on Teen Wolf. Loved him on that. So I hope you enjoyed that. If you're new to us, this is the first time you've heard an interview or watched an interview, and you want to help us out, we're just a father and son team doing this. We're up to 510 episodes, just past our 4th year doing the podcast. But you can support us by going to a couple ways. You can go to YouTube, MeisterCon Pod, and subscribe. Really help us out. If you're listening, wherever you're listening, just go and subscribe, and that would really help us. You can also find all of those episodes, audio and video, on our website, meistercon.com. So definitely check that out as well. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, bye, everybody.